Stand by to fall in, Polk County. This is today's veteran. Hello and welcome, and on behalf of everyone at the Polk County Office of Veterans Services, thanks for joining us. And I'm your host, Brian Lacey, and on this installment of today's Veteran, we talk about how TheatreWorks of Florida is making a difference in the community for veterans. TheatreWorks of Central Florida strives to create a positive contribution to the quality of life through the arts by bringing superior professional performances to the stage and to our community on a year-round basis. They have a community outreach program for veterans called Vet Voices. Vet Voices allows veterans to share their military experiences in an eye-opening theatrical form. Joining me in studio is artistic producer,
there you go,
Scott Cook with TheatreWorks Florida. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again. Thanks for having us back.
Been a while. You used to be on Polk Place with me and been on here, but now you're on our out and about art show.
Yes,
and, spent a lot of time on there, and you're big leaguing me.
I'll try to bring it down.
Exactly. For the folks that might not know, what exactly is TheatreWorks Florida, and how did it get its start?
TheatreWorks Florida is a professional theater company that's based here in Polk County, actually right out of Davenport, and we have been around since 2007, so we're working on our 12th year. Most of the time we are doing like the big league musicals, and for several years in the beginning we were like a touring company. Basically we would do producer-presenter theater, where a theater would come to us and say, hey, we've got a musical and we'd like you to produce it. So how it worked was we would take XYZ for money, build out the show, and take it someplace else. Well, what that did for many, many years is take us out of Polk County when the show actually went up. But we enjoyed the touring process until one day we found out that there was an empty sort of theater, I guess it was School of the Arts. It was old School of the Arts right down the block from me, like 1 block away from me. And that was in 2014 when we took occupancy at the old Davenport School of the Arts. They had a small theater, they had a dance rehearsal studio, they had some shop building space, a little small for us. We continued to build shows there and take them out until 2017, when we said, what are we doing? We're right here. Let's try this whole theater thing for Northeast Polk County. And it went on for 2 years with 2 seasons, and it was amazing. People were coming. They were coming from all over the place. Our people who were local were supporting it.
Hey, my daughter and my mother went up to go see 2 different plays.
Awesome.
And thought it was great.
Great, great. I think that the thing that's so awesome for us and for Polk County in general, it is the only professional theater in Polk County. And basically what that means is the difference with the other theaters that are here, we pay everybody.
Yeah.
That's really the big bottom line. But what that does for us is really to allow us to really get some super high quality people, from designers to staff to the actual cast that you see on stage. And as that gets out and people really enjoy what they see and support it, we can bring them bigger and better mega musicals.
Well, Scott, one thing that I really want the folks at home to know about TheatreWorks Florida is the staff, like you said.
Sure.
For lack of a better word, pedigree. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, talk about a little bit of the experience that you guys bring to the community.
Well, yeah, pedigree, that's a great word. We really search far and wide for the right people to fit in this company. I remember when we started in 2007, we started the company with a philosophy. And the philosophy was, you come here to do incredible work, not to bring drama or other problems to the table. And we just want to work and have a really good time as a family. The word family has really played a large part in our hiring of people. So from staff and designers, we have one of the most incredible set and production designers. His name is Jim Beck. He is actually the chair of Florida Southern College, their theater and dance department. So he's a pretty big league man over there. And he has done some incredible work for us. A lot of his work has been award-winning. with Broadway World. I think he's won twice or 3 times with us through the work that we do, which is awesome too, because our work is recognized with awards that we don't even see coming sometimes. They're just, oh, you won the best musical of the year. I'm like, great, we did. And it goes on down the line like that. We really do search far and wide, from staff to designers to cast. In the staff and designers department, we hold some pretty massive interviews.
And did you ever see Caddyshack?
Yes, I saw Caddyshack.
And you're no slouch yourself, Scott.
No, right?
Any chance you get the reference? Talk a little bit about your background.
My background, I come from upstate New York, from Utica, New York. I've been in this business since 8 years old professionally. Knock on wood, it will continue. I'm 52, so we're looking at 40 some odd years. I grew up in a log cabin on a mountain on a farm. That's where I came from. My family was really not into any of this, so this is a very big surprise for everybody in my family life. Went on to join a touring company called Rhythm Light Touring Productions, which was the sister company to Up With People, for those of us who remember Up With People.
I remember.
Yeah, I know you do. And from there, I sort of grew into my performance years. Once I did all of that touring, I came to Florida to take a little break and decided I really wanted to stay, and got involved with Disney. I did 10 years at Walt Disney World as a performer, but at the same time, I sort of discovered Theater Winter Haven. Or actually, a friend of mine said, you really need to go direct at Theater Winter Haven. I'm like, what's Theater Winter Haven? So that's how I kind of started in this area. Was working at Theater Winter Haven with Norman Small. I'm sure that's a name that a lot of people recognize, because he was the big cheese over at Theater Winter Haven. So right along my Disney performance years, I was also directing and choreographing at night, so I didn't have much of a life, but I loved what I was doing. And that sort of grew all through the years, and I spent 13 years at that theater, and at the end of that time, I took a little break, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do anymore, because I wanted to leave Disney. Now, I wasn't sure if going on with Theater Winter Haven was the right thing, and so what bubbled up out its own was the concept of TheatreWorks Florida, and that's kind of in a nutshell. My life is a whole lot more expansive, but that's a nutshell. And that's how the theater came about. The very first thing that happened was, not accidentally, I just took a random tour of the Polk Theater in Lakeland, and I'd never been in there all the years I've been here, and I was like, this is incredible. Why are we not doing things in here? So I started to talk to whoever the executive director was at the time, and from there, the idea of TheatreWorks bubbled up, and of course, here we are today, 12 years later.
And one of the things that we have you on today's Vet for is your outreach program.
Right.
About, what are we in the second year of it?
Actually, we are for veterans, we're in our second year.
Yeah, we're in our second year.
The outreach itself is in its 5th year.
Give a little bit, a little taste of what the outreach program is, and how it affects veterans. Then we're going to have to take a break.
Sure.
And then we've got another guest coming up.
Yes.
And in between, we're going to see some of the veterans that have performed with you. So talk to me real quick about that.
Okay, let me just tell you that TheatreCares is our outreach program. And under that, we've done a myriad of things. All of them so far have been supported by the National Endowment for the Arts with a grant. So we're very blessed. We are now in our 5th National Endowment for the Arts grant. TheatreCares was set up for people who have problems experiencing live theater, whether it be geographical or economic or social, whatever those problems were, we're going to get this experience of live arts to you, whether it be touring or we bring you in for a program. 2 years ago, 2 years ago, 2017, we were working towards a veteran program. We knew that this movement across America of arts and health in the military was massive, all the way up to the Department of Defense. I did a little bit of studying, and as I was studying right down in Tampa, there was this huge conference all about this. So I called them and I said, hey, can we come down and spend some time with you? They're like, just get here. They had people from theater to art, painting, to musicians, to dancing. And they've taken all of these arts and they have found an alternative way to use it as therapy from the effects of war. Once we got through that conference, we then all started to work towards what would our program look like, what would our curriculum look like, and we ended up with Vet Voices, which is the program today.
Well, Scott, can you stick around? Well, I'm not even going to ask you. I'm just going to. Yeah, all right. So make sure you stick around for the second part of the show, right? Let's take a look at the great work being done by Vet Voices.
Vet Voices really works out of the workshop concept in which we create a safe space through theater games and through knowing each other and sharing stories. And we ask them to talk to each other, talk about their lives, talk about the service, their time in the service and out of the service, and their transitions until everybody feels safe. And that takes 2 or 3 sessions. And then we ask them to write stories. And they can write them in school books that we give them, our little marble-faced school books. And then they bring their pieces in. Some of them are partial, some of them are completed, and they present them for the group for peer evaluation and to get a reaction. We didn't know in the beginning that this would all be story-based, and it's almost like storytelling, but that's what it became. And so we're flexible enough to accommodate that. We worked on acting, but acting is not what their specialty is here at this moment. And therefore, in the next group, we're going to bring in professional actors to work with the veterans. And it's been a very exciting process.
I first found out about Vet Voices from a previous project. One of my directors had informed me about this. And what inspired me was just getting into the arts, showing people that vets are more than what you think we are. But for me, it was also therapeutic because I feel like a lot of times we're not, as veterans especially, not allowed to express ourselves. And I believe that this was a perfect opportunity for me to express myself and get a lot of things off of my chest. It exposed me to the fact that I had these emotions. I had buried them for so long. The stories, for example, that I told during my presentation, I hadn't told in 10 years. Honestly, I'd forgotten about the entire story. I had to push it down so far. So that was the inspiration for me to not only come to the Vet Voices, but to also get into the arts, get into acting, and get into screenwriting to really express my emotions. There was a lot of hard, lonely nights where I was just like, man, you know, something's bothering me. Something is bothering me. I thought I was done with the Marine Corps. I thought I was done with war. I thought I was done with all that stuff. So why do I still have these feelings like I'm incomplete? And breaking it down to those stories, just finding that point where it was like, this is where my life changed, I believe. So that's what it came down to, just finding that spot and then just bringing it out. With veterans, the thing you had to understand is no matter how old we are, we're all gonna be brothers or sisters or whatnot. So, for example, one of the guys lost it a little bit when he was reading his story, and I've heard him tell that story probably 20, 30 times already. He always loses it. So I know for him to be able to bring that story out took a lot. And today, when he was losing it, I just put my hand on his shoulder just because I knew that would help him realize that he wasn't in that place anymore. It's over, and your brothers are here, you know? So that camaraderie, I think, is strengthened. And I've been hanging around vets for most of my life anyway, coming from a big military family. So yeah, I think that this was definitely an experience that brought us closer together and made me understand a little more about other veterans' experiences.
The way I found out about Vet Voices is I came to one of their play last year and I loved it. From the moment I walked in here, I loved everything about it. The play, the people, everything. And when I heard that they were doing something for the vets, since I'm a vet, I told my husband, I don't know how, but I am going to be part of this. The funny part is that I don't sing, I don't dance, and I don't act. So it was going to be very hard for me, I thought, to be part of this program. So when I came here, I told them, this is my story, and just tell me what to do. And that's how I started. I had grown so much. If you asked me 3 months ago if I was ever going to do something like this, I probably would have said no. Obviously, I'm a very shy person. the moment I started in the Bad Voices program, it was like I completely turned into somebody else. I mean, my shyness went away. I just allowed myself to be that person that they wanted me to be, to open myself to the opportunity that they were offering me. And it shaped me as a person, as a human being, as a mother, as a veteran. So when people tell you the arts saved their lives, believe them because it's true. When Mark told us that we needed to write a monologue, I was like, oh wow, this is it. I'm gonna be kicked out of Bad Voices. But I didn't. I went home and I started thinking, what should I write about? What is something that has touched me here that I would like to share with the community? And I was in the Army for 13 years, and that was a big part of who I am right now. But I think the part that actually made me the person who I am today is my experiences as a military wife. When we talk about veterans, we always talk about how they are heroes because they went to war and they defended our country. But sometimes we forget that those soldiers have people back home who are as heroes as they are. And we are probably not fighting the same mission they're fighting, but we're definitely fighting the same war. And I wanted people to know that. I wanted people to hear that part of the whole military life, because I think it's very important for us to understand that what military wives, what military kids go through in the process of their parent being in the war. So that was my motivation to write this piece. I did not write this piece until Saturday at 12 in the morning because I kept procrastinating and procrastinating. I wrote it, I saved it, and I sent it to Mark. I was like, here you go, Mark. Let me know if you like it. And he loved it.
These stories aren't told. These are the stories, the untold stories of veterans coming back and in the service. I think there's as they said, 1% of the population is in the service, and the rest, thank you for your service is what they say, but they really don't know what they go through. And these people have gone through a lot.
These are your friends, these are your brothers, your sisters, your neighbors. There's nothing really that special about us except that we signed up for a job when we were young, and that job so happened to be to protect the nation. So when a person who is not a vet or who does not have any experience with other veterans, I would just say, again, keep an open mind, keep an open heart, and realize that we are human.
The military is something that not everybody knows about because they either have never served or don't have people who have served in their families. And I think coming to see us will give you that perspective that you are missing right now. Just give us a chance. Give us a chance to show you who we are, what we have done, and what we want to do in the future with our military experience.
I think this was a great experience. I'm going to keep going on with it, and I hope it grows.
Welcome back to Today's Veteran. I'm your host, Brian Lacey. TheatreWorks Florida's acclaimed community outreach program, TheatreCares, continues Vet Voices in 2019 and 20. This inspiring free program allows military veterans and their families and caregivers the opportunity to explore music and theater arts and ultimately find healing through creativity. Joining me in studio, as I asked him to stick around, Scott Cook, TheatreWorks Florida. Mm-hmm. Thanks for sticking around.
You are
like
welcome.
You had a choice
like
to
I
go.
had a choice.
Yeah. And also joining us is Marilise Camacho. She performed in the first year of Voices for Vets. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, Scott, as we left off, we had just learned what the outreach program was.
Right.
And in the first year, talk to me a little bit about what the turnout was and what you got.
With vet, we're talking about with
Yeah.
vet voices,
Yeah.
right? Vet voices. It was such an interesting experience because we had set up this whole idea for the vets, and what it was to bring them to the table and experience theater as sort of an alternative therapy and a self-awareness and self-discovery kind of experience. We wanted to create a safe space where we knew military folk could talk openly as a family, and that's obviously not something that's easily done because, as I learned. You know, with civilians, our military folk don't necessarily want to share the stories they've gone through, whether they're too painful or they just don't feel like you connect with that. So that was our first part of what happened, was to create that space, right, Marilise? And we created this space and we started to let them have creative writing moments. We gave everybody a notebook to take home like it was school, and they began writing. And our director, Mark Graham, at the time, what he did was work with them so softly, step by step, to allow them to put their feelings down on paper, but then we started to hone them into theatrical monologues. The end result, months later, was we actually had them on stage in a 2-hour show that they had created called Breakfast in Baghdad, and it was a play. It was all of their writings, and they shared their stories. So that's really kind of what like the outcome was. And I think what was fascinating, and Marilise will be able to tell you much more about this, was the self-discoveries inside of themselves, what bubbled up, what was important, and that's the stuff you can't plan. That's what's so fascinating about the program, is we do go in as directors and designers and look and say, this is what we want it to be. But then it turns into something completely different, because TheatreWorks Florida's agenda is second to the veterans' agenda. We allow them to have that space, they do what they need to do, and we sort of hone it in and craft it into something that's theatrical, and then all of a sudden, everybody's discovering there's like these healing moments, right? And processes, and it's just amazing. It's utterly amazing.
Well, Marilise, you went through the first year, as we saw in the piece in the middle. I know at times it got emotional for some of the folks going through it. And even in your interview, you talked a lot about the writing, but talk to me about your personal experience with Scott, with TheatreWorks and Voices for Vets.
When I heard about the program, I immediately told my husband, I want to do this. But then I contacted Scott, and one of the first things that I told him was, well, Scott, I don't act, I don't sing, and I don't dance. Can you still use me? And he said, of course. Come on over, and we will work with what we have. So when I got there, I was so amazed about the support, the trust that they put on us, as we're not professionals, so we didn't know what we were doing. And in my case, like I said, I didn't do none of those things, so I was scared. But then as the weeks passed, I found out that, wait a second, I can't do this. I can write, I can act, and I still cannot sing, but
that's coming up in part 2.
But I found myself doing things that I never thought in my life that I was gonna be able to do, and especially when I put my military experience there for people to see. I mean, I wrote things that they were very personal to me, things that I never thought about sharing them with anyone, and I was able to do it. I was able to actually stand up in front of an audience and perform. So that's what they did for me with this program, and I enjoyed every single minute of it.
As military, we tend to gravitate to our own, and when I get in a room full of people, I can pick out the military, and I will start associating more so with them than I would somebody who's not. Talk to me a little bit about what it means to have that support militarily and go through a program like this.
Well, one of the first things that we did on our first meeting is to decide that we're gonna do this together, we're gonna do this as a family. So we all kind of got together, we learned how to do this as a family. It's difficult when you have a bunch of different personalities and people that you don't know, and for you to open up. But in our case, we did it, I think, from the first moment we met. We got together, we become this big family, and we helped each other through the process. There were moments throughout the program that some of us couldn't continue, and some of us left the program, but it was the support that we got as the family, and the support that we got from them, and the space that we got from them, what brought us back into the program, and we were able to finish it.
So, Scott, the first year is in the books. You've got folks returning like Marilise.
Right.
Now we're here
Right.
to promote the second year.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about how folks can find out what you want to do,
Sure.
what you're looking for, and really, inspire them to come join you.
Sure. Well, I think that's the big thing that we want to do right now, and Marilise is helping us because I gotta take 1 second. This is like our star child. The day she came in, I said to the director, "This is not going to happen." And she has turned into this amazing person with all kinds of stuff. She's right now has written a book.
Yeah.
Through the process, and also what is the name? I don't want to say it wrong. You're running is it the Gazette?
Yes, we started a newspaper, a community newspaper in the Northeast Polk County area. It's called the Northeast Gazette, and basically we're just covering soft news in the area.
Yeah.
And that newspaper is a non-profit organization and is run by veterans.
And it's
Right.
it's giving you guys the inspiration to
Totally.
to get out. Well, Scott, we got about a minute and
Sure.
a half,
Okay,
so
so
let's get folks involved in this season and seasons to come.
Right. This season is going to be the same type of thing that we did before with creative writing, except we're leaning much more towards music, which means we're going to take creative writing and turn them into songs. We're going to cover things like music appreciation. If you have any love of music whatsoever, an instrument, singing, or you just want to be behind stage and you've got a story to tell and that's really all you want to offer, we will take everybody's story. And we're trying to hone it into more of a musical play. Whether or not we get full-blown songs, we won't know. But that's really what we're doing this time around. That's what's different in the program is the music. We've got a phenomenal music director. She's an award-winning music director named Frida Soderdahl. She's from overseas, Norway, and she's so excited to work with us. But to get to and look at the whole program, you can go right to our website at TheatreWorksFL.org. And everything is there that you need, and we just need you to register if you think you want to be part of the program. We're going to give you an email, and then we're going to give you a call, tell you a little bit more where to show up, and the process begins. I think the thing we want to impress is don't be afraid. Come and try it. Look at Marilise. Come and try it, right? She was scared in the beginning. I think everybody was scared in the beginning. They don't know what to even expect. Walking in as a military folk and us saying, "We need you to bare your soul." It's not like that. We hug you to us very tightly and say, "We're going to take this process slowly and as a family." Right, as a family.
Well, Scott, Marilise, I want to thank you for coming in. I want to thank really you, Scott, for everything that you do for veterans. And Marilise, you are an outstanding, shining star within Voices for Vets.
Yes, you are.
Thanks, guys, for coming in and joining us on today's Veteran.
Absolutely.
Thank you for
Thanks again,
having us.
Brian.
For more information on TheatreWorks Florida, look them up on the web at www.theatreworksfl.org. That's going to do it for this edition of Today's Veteran. I want to thank our guests, Scott Cook and Marilise Camacho, but most of all, I want to thank you for joining us. Remember, for help and information regarding claims, benefits, and services available to veterans and their families, call the Polk County Veterans Service Office at 863-534-5220 or log on to the Polk County website at www.polk-county.net. I'm Brian Lacey sitting in for Tim Kirkhart, and we will see you next month.